Hey, assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Shannara Vlogs. Hope you're all well. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. And yeah, over the past few months, I've started doing my online shopping more and more frequently, particularly since I sold my car and also because of COVID. It works out so much better. Every week my order is like completely different. It really depends on what I need and what I need to restock on. A lot of the stuff is really what I'm just restocking on. I like to have things to hand. You know, if I decide I want to cook something, I don't want to have to go out and get the ingredients. I'm just too lazy for that. I like to have it all at home. And so yeah, this was this week's order. I've not got so much on it, but I do order between Asda and Tesco. They're like my favourites. Sometimes I'll do an order at Iceland, but you can't really get everything there. So as you can see, I ordered a flask as well because I've now gone back to work, back to the office. I've not gone back full time, just hybrid, 3 days a week. So the coffee that you can get there, it doesn't agree with me. So I have to take my own coffee and I need coffee to keep me awake. I got a couple of pot noodles. That's because every once in a while I might not be available, and if my son needs to eat something, I've trained him to make himself a pot noodle. So far, you know, that's the best it can do, but that's still good. It's good as an emergency. I don't like him having pot noodles because they're really not good for health, but it's better than going hungry. And I just got a selection of cheap drinks. They're all sugar-free, so they're all right. I don't really get fizzy drinks very often. But the kids were at home and I just thought I'll get a few bottles. And yeah, got a bottle of milk. Milk is really strange in our house. You know, you can either go through it or I might find that the bottle doesn't get used. It goes out of date and unfortunately you've got to get rid of it. But I still get the big one because, you know, sometimes it just looks like we go through it really quickly. It just depends on, like, you know, what we're having for breakfast. Like if they're having cereal or something, you know. And wraps, I always keep wraps in. They're really handy. I actually freeze them. I never used to freeze them, but then I'd find that I might use like one or two out of the packet and then they go off. So by freezing them, I can just use it as and when, and I know it's not going to go off, and it's always handy if I need it. I always like to keep a bag of sweet corn handy in the freezer because they're excellent for tuna sandwiches. And also, have you tried that spicy sweet corn that you can get on the markets? So it's great for that. And when I get a tin, I find that I'm only using a little bit of it, the rest of it's going to waste. And like this, it's really cost effective. And it's easier because you don't have to bother opening the cans. Just open your freezer, grab as much as you want, and yeah, you're done. I also picked up a Yankee candle. This one smells really nice. I've not tried it before, but it had lots of good reviews. I always read reviews before I buy anything. But yeah, this one, the reviews are really good and it actually does smell really good. I feel that I just can't do without my candles. You know, like when you've been cooking and then if you light a candle, it just magically erases all the cooking smell. Because you know what, like spices smell like, they can really ruin the smell of the house and it goes all over your clothes. It's just such a nightmare, especially in winter. Not so bad in summer because you can open all the windows and everything. Oh, and I forgot to mention it was on offer as well. So I think it was $9.99, that one, the big one. Going back to freezer food, another staple in my freezer is mashed potatoes. I've got to make sure I've always got a supply of this frozen mashed potato. It tastes so good. It just tastes like it's freshly made, not like the dried powder stuff that you get, you know. And prawns, I like to keep prawns. I didn't actually particularly need them this week, but it's just nice to have in the freezer if we decide to make something with prawns. Maybe a stir fry, maybe a boona. I don't know. I mean, prawns are really versatile. So easy and quick to cook, especially these ones because they're already cooked and peeled. Don't get me wrong, I don't use them just like this. I still cook them, but they don't need peeling, they don't need deveining. I still always double check to make sure that they're deveined properly, and they work quite well with my younger daughter because she makes prawn pasta and things like that. And fish fingers, I keep fish fingers in the freezer all the time. I make sure I never run out of them, and the larger fish fillets as well, because again, it's handy, you know, like because I'm at work, kids are at school, and then you get home and you've not got enough time to prepare things. So it's just ideal to just chuck like a fish fillet or some fish fingers and some chips or fries in the air fryer and warm up some beans or peas, whatever you fancy, or, you know, just whatever. Or sometimes even steamed vegetables, and your food's ready in like 10 to 15 minutes max. So I thought I'd get this cheesecake. It was so cheap. I can't even remember how much it was, but it was actually quite nice, you know. Very cheap. And yeah, so that's my flask that I got for work. I'm quite lucky that I still get to do 2 days at home. I do my 2 longer days at home. Eggs, these are another staple. Like literally, I go through so many eggs. I always make sure I've got eggs in the freezer because again, it's a versatile food. It's something that, you know, you can make a quick omelette or just, you know, whatever. I tend to steam some vegetables in the microwave and chuck it in an omelette, and you've got a meal there. You can put some chicken in it, put some prawns in it, put whatever you want in it. Marshmallows, I actually ordered the mini ones for hot chocolate, but they sent me these long twists, but it's fine. And yeah, I got some fruit, red onions, love red onions. I keep red onions chopped up in a container in the fridge, so they're always handy. There's some white lasagna sauce there if I fancy making some lasagna, a bit of fruit, some salad and peppers. You can't go wrong with them. And I don't buy the big sacks of onions that a lot of Asian people do because I don't have the space in my house. I don't have anywhere to keep a sack of onions, so I just get bags and I keep them in the fridge. Got some white lasagna sauce because I've run out of that. I've got plenty of the red sauce because I use that quite a lot, like, you know, for spaghetti bolognese, use it for pasta bakes, for lasagna, for like all sorts of pasta dishes. And I just got like 1 packet of biscuits. These are like a treat because I try not to get the unhealthy foods in the house. And we've got some salmon fillets. I usually get the fresh ones, but I find that I've got to cook that like within so many days, within a couple of days. And I struggle for time sometimes because it just depends on like the events of the day or, you know, how you feel. So I decided to go for the frozen one. So we just cook it in the oven, you know, with some lemon and some salt and pepper, and just serve it with some white sauce and baby boiled potatoes and some broccoli, and it's just really nice and the kids love it. I also got some cheesy singles suitable for vegetarians, as you can see. So yeah, this is something else, as I'm sure you'll all agree with me, you need to keep this in the fridge for your homemade burgers. Got some jam. We don't really use jam much because nobody really has toast. Unless you have toast, you don't need jam. So I got some celery. I got 3 cucumbers because, yeah, we go through a lot of cucumbers. Everybody loves them. And as you would have seen in one of my other videos, I like to prepare my salads and keep them in the fridge so it's handy. Have it whenever you want. Spring onions. Yeah, these are just handy to put in your stir fries or whatever. Some, I don't know what are these called, you know? Do you call them tangerines? They're not mandarins, because mandarins are the really small ones. I think they're called clementines. I always get confused. Some like lettuce. I got this lettuce rather than the iceberg because you can like make little wraps out of them. Some carrots and some potatoes. Cheese. Yeah, we'll go through a lot of cheese. Again, that is another staple for the fridge. I find that if you buy the supermarket owned brands, the prices can be like very similar to what you'd get at Lidl or Aldi. So, but it's easier to go to the bigger supermarkets because you get a lot more choice. But that's just me, that's just my understanding. And the delivery cost ranges from £1 to about £6. And it all depends on the like peak and non-peak times. I find it really handy because if I was to go out shopping, I'd probably spend like about an hour or so, but like this, I can just add to my basket as and when, so I don't spend too much time in one go. Like I'll go on to my account, I'll add a few things to it, and then I'll leave it, and then I'll remember something else, and I'll add it, and I'll do it that way. And then when I'm happy with it, I'll just put my order through. And most of the time my delivery cost is about £2.50 because I tend to get my deliveries like during the day, so it's not quite non-peak and it's not quite peak, so it works out okay. So I couldn't wait to light this candle. I lit the candle and seriously, it's really nice. My home smells so nice. And yeah, I just wanted to share something else with you. This is just a little tip. You might already do this, but I don't put my freezer foods in the freezer as they are, because I mean, look at the size of that box and look at the size of those fish fillets. Like, that box is huge and it's going to take up so much space in my freezer. So what I tend to do with things like that, I don't do it with fish fingers because they're packed really well in the box, but anything like this where the box is a lot bigger than the actual product, I take it out and I put it in like a bag, like a sandwich bag, and get rid of the bag and put it in the freezer that way, and it just takes up like a fraction of the space. It's so much easier. You can get a lot more in your freezers like this. And don't just put them in the freezer like that. You need to straighten them up so they're all nice and neat, and that way they take up less space. I'm doing it with one hand here because I'm holding my camera in the other hand, so it's a bit awkward, but you get the picture. Just like try and sort of like pile them up so they're nice and neat like this. It's just so much easier. Let me know in the comments if you do this as well. Be interesting to know. If you enjoyed my food haul and the little tips, I hope you will give me a thumbs up, and look after yourselves, everybody. Take care. Allah Hafiz for now. Bye.